Hey guys, Marquis here. Despite all of the bad this year gave us music-wise, we also got plenty of good music as well. And that is thanks in part to all of the unique releases that we have gotten. We also saw a lot of legendary rappers come back this year, which was a real treat for those who appreciate raw and authentic lyricism like I do. So without any further ado, here are the best songs of 2025. For someone who drops as much as he does, you would think Boldy's rushing to get the projects out as often as he can. But this actually isn't true. Genuine effort is going into these projects. And even though he had a shaky start at the beginning of the year, he's really locking in now and giving us some of his best material to date. There were many different songs I could have picked to represent the best he has on offer, but I just had to go with this one.
I'm from the block where niggas get spilled. Barely got time, can never sit still.
On this song, Boldy James talks about the harsh realities of street life where he was born and raised. He says that it wasn't easy to make it out of such circumstances. But, regardless, he still had it in him, which was his it factor. LP, who doesn't get the credit he deserves in my opinion, comes through with a fantastic verse about how what he's seen is unsettling. But yet, it's the way of life and he has to keep pushing through, no matter how dire the consequences are. Boldy's works throughout this entire year shows which producers he really has chemistry with, given that Real Bad Man brings out the best of him. But him and Nicholas Craven are a duo that rarely miss. Can't go wrong with either, but he should stop working with Rich Gaines. That didn't bring good results. Throughout all of the years of him rapping, it wasn't until this year that Navy Blue made his most insightful album yet, offering advice on how to navigate through life's most difficult challenges and coming out as a better person. And as proof that him and Earl don't miss, here's the song that ended up being the best on this album.
All the moments spent crying, I was meant to laugh. The past don't hurt as much as it.
24 Gospel shows Navy's growth throughout his life, showing that all the pain he went through wasn't in vain because it taught him the real morals of life. He also overcame his alcohol addiction and got on a better track as he got sober. He also was a gifted individual ever since he was young, knowing that he would use his knowledge for great purposes in teaching others how to navigate obstacles. And in Earl's verse, he shows that he had to overcome his depression, but that didn't come without letting go of the ones who weren't helping him out. And he comes to terms with how his life is now, showing how grateful he is that he's still alive and is the best he's been in a long time. Because if you know about Earl's discography, he went through a lot of devastating shit, but I'm glad he's in a better mind state now. You know the song's fire when its chorus is in gibberish. Abracadabra is about how navigating through life isn't easy given the twists and turns the path will take. There are also temptations that are hard not to give into, like the everlasting conflict between the angel and the devil on your shoulder. And time doesn't wait for anyone, so you should make the decisions your gut tells you to instead of letting other people predict where your life will end up. Very catchy song, and I'm glad to see that she's still making dance pop tracks like she did in the 2010s. There were a lot of comebacks I was excited to see this year. The return of De La Soul, the return of Mobb Deep, the return of JID, and the return of Raekwon. But if there was anyone I was more excited to see a comeback from this year than those artists, it was the return of Clips.
Uncle said, nigga, you must be sick. All you talk about is just get rich.
The themes of luxury and finding escapes from hardships goes hand in hand with the parallels of slavery, talking about how the only thing the people in the system care about is their infatuation with wealth and how he overcame poverty and cemented himself in this brand new status. Not only that, but he also draws that line of overcoming with beating oppression and finding an escape from the cruel reality he found himself in. The first verse tackles the false perceptions rappers give off by forcing an image full of luxury and wealth when Pusha can clearly see through all of the lies and deceit. He says that showing people who your true self is ends up working out better in the long run than trying to perceive a fake lifestyle you want people to think you actually live. The second verse is where Malice exposes lifestyles full of making money your only personality trait. He gives clear distinction between the greed and obsession with violence that kills your spirit and the truth that helps free it. Pharrell helps narrate the point that this lifestyle can catch up to you sooner than you think it does. Then the third verse, which Def Jam found problematic because of its political theming, finds Kendrick choosing not to settle with peace but rather to remind others why he's a force to be reckoned with. He also speaks on how the true culture of hip-hop isn't merely what it used to be and how therapy taught him that self-importance is more valuable than caring about what anyone else thinks. If you think you're right, you most certainly are. The intensity of the song really channels the inner points each artist here is trying to make about the dark realities of what rap has become. One of the most underappreciated MCs of the 90s is here one last time as he reminds you why he's one of the best to do it.
I need that key nigga, you see Jiggy, push the V Twiggy, large like Free Willy, be broke, don't be.
This song talks about the dark and gritty street life in New York, how Big L can never go for broke, how he does things on his own behalf and doesn't cooperate with the feds. He also reminds the listener where he's from and not to mess with him unless you wanna die. Then on Nas's verse, he talks about being the street don of rap and him being able to share his experiences as he grew up in the city he's the king of. He also gives credit to Kool G Rap, saying that he paved the way for rappers like him. Shots are also sent in Jim Jones's direction as he doesn't believe the comparisons the Dipset founder makes to his music when he's not even in the same skill range as him. Nas and Big L had a lot of history together as they were from the same part of New York, and this showed that they really couldn't be fucked with. While I thought Slick Rick's new album was kinda disappointing considering the higher highs his discography has, there was one song I really liked off first listen. And yet again, it has a Nas feature.
Now they got me like a top agent Shogun, watching me program. A hot nigga go from smash.
On this song, Slick Rick portrays himself as a James Bond-like secret spy with access to secret files he can use to expose criminal activity. In the first verse, he boards a plane to obtain files that devise a plot against the British. He's able to get the case on file which he could then use to frame him. Then in Nas's verse, he portrays himself as a 1980s dope boy who's out making precise moves. He makes the ops slip and crash behind him as he sets up a trail of oil that sends them flying backwards. He also reminds us that him and the Ruler are the best storytellers to come out of rap and that they can paint a very vivid picture with just words. He then refers to him and the Ruler as black agents, saying that they are the duo that keeps on giving. As the Ruler returns, the Emperor makes his return as well.
We the examples, we who we said we was, never faked it. Ones who were jury they couldn't play with.
On this song, Raekwon sets the scene as he portrays a drug boss who keeps everything in control and in check. Continuing on the casino themes in the verse, he talks about dope fiends shooting needles up into themselves and how him and his crew lurk at night, taking any means necessary to be the ones on top. Whether that means robbing niggas for their jewels and getting away with it as well as him keeping supply and demand going. Then Nas's verse, which many people thought was directed at Jim Jones, talks about leading by example and not having to fake anything. People like him also stay rich and he also questions as to whether these rappers really have more power than the leaders who are really in charge. He also says that in this life, you gotta stand your ground because there's no time for bullshit when there's a lot of death around you and you're dependent on being the one that survives. 7 albums, all from legendary acts in the game, all distributed by Mass Appeal, and one of them was a sequel to Ghostface's best album he has ever made, and while it's not on the same level as the original, it still ended up being really good, and Nas is allergic to missing on these features.
Life grows on me, every other day I have a whoa moment, how the hell I end up here,
On this song, Ghostface explains to us the life he used to live, how he used to be in the streets, selling dope from corner to corner hoping he wouldn't get caught, saying that he made such a bag off it that he could get himself out of the hood. Then in Nas's verse, he says that sometimes he questions how he ended up in a life like this, how he found himself in such constant danger and how so many people who were close to him ended up dying. But still, he's glad he survived it all and is able to tell the story, the same story that he says will get told after his passing. After nearly a decade, Danny Brown is finally sober. After years of drug raps, He has returned to a normal state where he can now make music while focusing on his true self. This caused him to make a more experimental album than we expected. And whether or not you think he did it justice, I'll let you decide. But we all know this song right here is a banger.
And I wake up, cause the weeks they sleep. When the money talk, listen, it ain't cheap. Like a Dr. Oil lawyer, I know what they wanna be.
This EDM sounding song connects being a rapper to being a pop star and being a rock star, in which Danny Brown is all three of these things. He started out as a rapper, claimed himself as a rock star on his album Triple X, and did features for pop artists, which technically makes him a pop star as well. He talks about getting everything you've ever wanted and never anything you actually ask for. See, Danny got the fame and the recognition, but what he seemingly wanted was a normal life. Fame changes that, but he isn't complaining. He's taking full advantage of everything he has at his disposal, whether he initially envisioned himself having any of it at first. He also recalls used to not having much and being broke, as well as being the role model everyone wants to look up to. Hopefully not the drug addiction part though. The second verse talks about him losing himself in the fame while trying to be a normal person like you and I am. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm just like him. Anyways, there's a deeper underlying theme where there was this person that they looked up to and wanted to be like, but they now live with regret knowing that they traded their normal life for it. This shows that sometimes fame isn't all it is cracked up to be. Back in 2020, Freddie Gibbs and the AI Chemist teamed up to drop the first Alfredo, and one song, in particular, went on to be called his best of the decade. That was 1985, a nearly perfect song from the album. Fast forward 5 years, he teamed up with Freddie again to drop the second Alfredo, and with a legendary intro like 1985 was, why not drop a sequel to it that not only is on the same quality as that one was, but maybe even better at the same time?
If I flew out, it was a sex trip. No, my baby mama about to set trip. I don't give a shit. These niggas ain't.
When it comes to the last one, it had this cinematic sounding beat that was near perfection. He portrayed himself as this drug lord that couldn't be messed with. And 5 years later, he's still that same drug lord. He says that niggas like him never die and that there's plenty of them. He also does what he has to do, and that's that. But wait, there's a second part to it. Despite those hating, he still thrives regardless. And to think he's still here even though they tried to bring him down in 2016 with charges that almost ruined his good name. He contemplated taking his own life because of this, but decided not to go through with it. Instead, he didn't let that bother him and lived life as he usually would. He also admits to spending money on girls he used to find attractive but realized that he was wasting his time. Well, here's a duo I never thought I needed.
And I always only attract more, yeah, and I always only attract hard.
Throughout Yates' discography, he had never once collaborated with a female artist. But that changed this year. And oh my god, this collaboration was absolutely beautiful. This went for a sound he never really has done before. This continued his experimental arc following 2093, a cyberpunk sounding album that showed a promising new sound for him. It's a good thing that he's branching out from the rage music that blew him up, because it shows that he can evolve. And evolution is good. Besides, you don't wanna make the same type of music forever. While America has Kendrick Lamar, Britain has Dave. His expert ability to be a lyricist and tell stories makes him stand out in the UK rap scene. He's had a solid discography of albums by now that are a showcase of just how much skill he possesses. And with his third album that arrived this year, he added to the streak.
She was 24, last week told me something you can't be ready for. I'm on the death of her.
In this song, Dave recalls multiple different instances of girls that he saw get assaulted and abused. In one, it was a girl who was 24 years old, and she told Dave that a close friend of hers died and she's using alcohol to cope with the loss. On the cab ride she took last week, the driver kept trying to hit on her, but Dave didn't take action. He describes the driver as someone who would ask her questions while he's driving then stop all of a sudden. He then says that he's gonna pick her up as the party's over, but the party she's going to is a no-phone party. This is only enforced on the women, but the men are allowed to have phones. This means that the women there could potentially get taken advantage of and not be able to call for help. She says that at the party, she was with this guy who offered her drugs and alcohol. She couldn't tell in the moment if she was sober, but she drank anyways. He asked for her Snapchat, and this was a ploy to get her to sleep with him. Meanwhile, she's sick to her stomach and is currently in the bathroom avoiding him. She didn't want to go to his house, especially with no phone on her, so she ended up blacking out. Her friends are going to an after party at the house next door. As she takes the cab to Archway, she walks up a long hill and then she hears a familiar voice. She believes that the voice is coming from the same cab driver who tried to hit on her. As she is fearful, she tries making a run for it, but she tripped and fell. She then buckles herself as he tries to grab him. She's trying to get him to stop, but everything she's doing is making him more attracted to her. She's frozen in place as he's able to take her to the after party. She then saw a group of people leaving and realized that she hurt herself pretty badly. She then calls Dave, hoping he would understand what's going on. She's venting about her frustrations with men, how they try to act like they're nice then take advantage of you while noticing the air tag they have on them, and that all of this could have been prevented if these people were taken care of by the police. Dave then goes into detail about how these men will do anything in their power to manipulate women. And the moral of the story here is to not trust every man you see, because you never know what their intentions are. In a year where every other underground rapper is too busy stealing other people's sounds as well as their album covers, Zucchini is out here with his own original sound and concept.
My diamonds look like boulders, hold the beat stick on my shoulders. She know I'm a soldier kid.
So Zucchini operates in a genre called medieval trap, which is trap music, but the sound of it dates back to the 5th and late 15th centuries, the time frame in which the Middle Ages occurred. This type of trap also contains references to medieval imagery like stones, swords, knights and kings, stuff like that basically. And the music video for Kino der Toten, which is German for Theater of the Dead, is one of the most creative ones I have seen in a very long time, blending animation of 5th century figures and live action together. Definitely go watch the music video when you're done watching this video. It's honestly very impressive how it was pulled off. While I still do think music was pretty disappointing, there were still some good highlights that I enjoyed on the album. For example, I've already talked about this song at length in my review of Playboi Carti's music, so if you wanna know my full thoughts then check that out. But to summarize this song briefly, it has a beautiful beat with a great vocal performance from The Weeknd and great rapping from Playboi Carti. I don't really think it matters all that much that he used AI. It's way better than that Zania Monet shit. Am I right? Hurry Up Tomorrow. Good album. Bad movie. We know that The Weeknd is bad at acting but is definitely good at singing. And this song from the album was definitely special for people who have been following the Modern Trilogy.
Take me back to LA, where the sun will keep.
So context. Here's where we left off from when it comes to Escape to LA. Abel is in this relationship where the other person isn't being completely truthful with him. She's telling other men about what they have together, and this makes him suspicious about the relationship in question. They also have a secret place they hide out in to avoid celebrity attention. Then Abel gets the revelation that he needs to leave LA so that they can better their relationship. In the second verse, he talks about how he has all this luxury, the cars, the money and the crib, and he says that he gave his girl everything she could have ever wanted, and somehow that isn't enough for her. She then pulled up to the studio and had sex with him while he was about to record his next verse. And now that's where Take Me Back to LA picks up. After leaving LA, Abel wants to return all of a sudden because it will bring him back his innocence. And now, it seems like him doing all the bad in that city is better than loneliness and what he had. He also wishes to go back to when he didn't sell his soul, when he was still pure and had good intentions, when his voice was mostly still intact. He misses the city life and the being he had left. And more importantly, he realizes he can't be alone again. So him going back to LA will be that reset all over again, to start back where things left off. In the universe that Billy paints, Black Oppression is a horror movie. The constant suspicion that something may be wrong will stay with you for about as long as you live. And with this album, he helps deliver that point home. Because in this world, regardless of who you think you might be, you will die alone.
Born alone, die alone, no matter who your man's is. Hope he lived long enough.
In its first verse, Billy details him witnessing the death of his cousin as a child and his shoes being left behind, which are a bad omen that follows you for your entire life. Young people keep killing each other and we keep being witnesses to it every single time. This cycle of violence never sits right with me. I wish people would just realize that killing people won't solve any problem you may have with them and that there are better ways to deal with it head on. He then says that he knows his time is coming one day and that he always prepares for the worst just in case it does happen. The second verse details a young man dropping out of junior college so that he could make it into the dope game. And the theme throughout the album of playing smart to avoid danger is echoed a lot through the songs, especially considering that the name of this song and its chorus are all derived from King Ghidorah's song Phasers. Billy frequently references his work, most likely showing how much of a fan he is. Meanwhile, when it comes to Billy's work with Elucid, he went with a different approach when it came to their album.
What makes Mike's Armenian man? I don't think strike.
On this jazz rap instrumental, Earl gives commentary on people who snitch to shorten their sentence and how he's suspicious of who he can trust and who he can't trust. Elucid portrays the image of a player who's making moves and does things on his own behalf. And Billy talks about playing the 1987 video game California Games to kill time on a 6-hour flight. He also says that the business him and Elucid run can pimp your girl out. In a decade where rock music is currently struggling to chart, we needed Deftones right around now. This song uses a bunch of imagery pulled straight of the Bible itself. The first verse is in reference to Revelation 11:6 where it states that they have the power to turn water into blood, which is intended to smite every plague off the face of the earth. The second verse has references to both Acts 2:2 where it states that a violent wind came from heaven and flew into the house, and Song of Solomon 2:15 where it states that the foxes must be caught so that they don't ruin the blooming vineyards. The refrain is in reference to the Apostles chapter 2 where it talks about seeing tongues like flames of fire. And the third verse has a reference to Matthew 7 where a poor man built his house on sand and the wise man did it on stone. The poor man's house got blown down but the wise man's didn't. There's also references to Luke 5:37-39 where it states that they don't pour new wine into old wineskins because it will burst them and that they should, instead, be poured into new wineskins. Acts 2:13 that mentions people being full of new wine. Ephesians 5:18 that states that you shouldn't get drunk with wine but that you should rather be filled with spirit, and Proverbs 21 which states that those not led astray by wine aren't wise. And in the chorus, when Shino's calling out to the Holy Spirit, the I'm on fire part might be him getting exorcised and that he might be asking for forgiveness even though he knows it's far too late for him. The return of Nine Inch Nails could only mean one thing. A new Tron movie came out. The protagonist of the new Tron movie only exists to fulfill his purpose. And when he does that, he is disconnected from that reality. That is practically the program way of killing someone. This sense of going a certain path and not looking back makes you hope that nothing goes wrong. And Trent here wants it to feel like he's in it as much as he can be, just being immersed in the thrill and the journey this will take him on. While the new Tron movie has mixed reception from what I've heard about it, the soundtrack is really good if you wanna check it out. Regardless of your background and where you might be from, God always gives people second chances. So you better hope you get lucky.
Heaven was hell and vice versa. A verse of vice is writing in cursive. The grind of an author defining.
This is another song that I talked about at length in my review of JID's God Does Like Ugly, so make sure to check that out as well when you get done with this video. But to summarize it, the first part opens up with some beautiful vocals and Mariba singing about how she wishes that things were back to the way they once were. The second part is where JID felt like he was being tested on his faith, and the third part is where he finally found it as he made it out the struggle. Really well put together song. And just like that, the The Fly God is back.
Let's get one thing clear, fuck these niggas, and that's being sincere. This fin to your
So Westside Gunn was sent a cease and desist from the WWE that made him change his album covers. Keep in mind that he's been their biggest fan since he was very young. But I'm not gonna show what the new cover is cause I like the previous one better. Brother Tom SOS has some really good bars in his verse though. Hot like water for chocolate. I'm the light. That's word to Common Sense. Common's first rap name was Common Sense back in the 90s. And he has an album named Like Water for Chocolate. And there's a song on that album named The Light. I mean, it is one of my favorite rap albums of all time, so I respect it being mentioned here. I feel like Joey Crack off the Remy. Joey Crack is the nickname for Fat Joe. And he collaborated with Remy Ma a lot in recent years, even having a collaborative album back in 2017. This is God. I'm Jesus walking on water. Tom SOS went God mode on this beat, and the way he's sliding on it is like how Jesus walks on water. For most of 2 Chainz's career now, he has made trap music, and that has gotten very repetitive as of lately. However, him being on a boom bap sounding project with Larry June and The Alchemist is refreshing because we don't get to hear him make songs like that often. And thank God he decided to take it in that direction next.
I never tell you that I didn't do it. I'm self-made, made to influence.
Here 2 Chainz claims himself as self-made and that he makes moves on his own behalf, saying that he's the first to get the work going and that it wouldn't be wise to mess with him. And Larry June brags about his luxury-filled life, his many cars, going out to exotic places, ducking police and investing his money in stock, as well as speaking on how people with no game think they can win a woman over. Life for them is good. They are both living on the high tide. Bruiser Wolf has this unique ability to turn real-life tragedies into comedy as his way to cope with what happens in the streets. And this led to him having a humorous aspect to his music, as well as it touching on pretty serious stuff as well. This balance helps make his music interesting. And thankfully, it worked really well on this song.
I put that ass to sleep. You can rest assured. The tech make enough holes in your chest.
In this song, Bruiser uses very vivid imagery to portray street life and how hard it is to make it out. There's a few lyrics here that show the personality his lyricism has that I will now run through. I put that ass to sleep. You can rest assured. You can assure that you will be knocked out, but you also rest on your ass when you sleep, so you literally will be rest assured. The tech make enough holes in your chest to play Connect 4. One of the most creative ways to say that someone can get shot. I like when rappers think of stuff like this rather than just saying the typical he got shot lyrics all the time. I could spot 12 on the corner. Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is the cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and his jersey number is 12. But 12 is also slang for police. So just like Travis Hunter, he can spot Popo from a mile away. Top hat like I'm Amish. And this last one says that his appearance, which includes a top hat, makes him look Amish. It's a funny way to state his appearance given that, unlike an Amish person, he's black. And that's it for the best songs of the year. Let me know your thoughts on the list and what you agree with or disagree with. The next video will be the worst albums of 2025. And with that being said, see you in the next video. Peace out.